you have a task that is on your to-do list right now, and it's been there for weeks. It's not that you're not capable. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's that whenever you sit down and you want to do it, something actually stops you. And you tell yourself, maybe it's not the right time. Maybe it's not the right opportunity to do this. But really and truly, there's something underneath it all that's stopping you from executing that very thing that you want to do, but you can't. And that's what my client actually did for 2 weeks. He was sitting on a decision and he was procrastinating and he was keeping on just delaying it. Not because he wasn't able to do it, not because he had the inability to release the program. And because of all of that procrastination, he missed 2 weeks, which would have added an extra £10,000 a month in his business. But when we targeted that belief that he had, that's when everything changed. That's the conversation that we are going to have today. Today, we're going to go over the disciplined sovereign framework, something that I designed which will allow yourself to go from what we call an almost entrepreneur, someone who's inconsistent and finds it like an uphill battle to do the work every day, from that to a disciplined sovereign, someone who, despite the emotions, despite the feelings, they're able to stay consistent and execute every single day as a non-negotiable. So stick around and maybe you'll find out what's helped my clients become daily executioners. So how we're going to do this video today is we're going to split it up. And the first thing that we're going to cover is which type of entrepreneur you are at the moment. What type of business owner are you when it comes to your execution? And it's not just about knowing where you are, it's about knowing who you want to be. So we're going to look at the who first. And then what we're going to do is after that, we're going to talk about why there are certain beliefs there that are present at this current moment and the belief shift that you want to have by the end of this video. And then once we've done that, once we've covered that, we're going to talk about the how and the now. The things that you can do which will elevate your execution consistently and on a daily basis. So three things that you can do which will allow you to take that step forward. And then finally, we're going to talk about what we call keep. The keep is how to stay consistent on being consistent. So those are the 5 things that we're going to cover today. So when we're talking about execution, daily execution, there are 2 polar opposites that come into play. So the first one, so when we look at it in this way, we look at someone who's can be fluid, that doesn't have a problem in just taking on the different tasks that they have during the day, and someone who's stuck. So you can either be fluid or stuck, but also it could be smooth, it could be a smooth process, or it could be a rough process. Now, most business owners at this current point are either one of 2 people. They are either stuck in terms of constantly procrastinating, but when they are working, when they are doing the activity, they're able to just complete it, good concentration, but they're still stuck. And these type of business owners is what we like to call surviving. Surviving. And the other type is the type of entrepreneur that has difficulty in terms of doing the execution, staying consistent, staying concentrated when they are doing each piece of work, and they are always looking at some form of escapism while they are trying to do their deep work session. But when they have a flow in their day in a general basis, that works well for them. However, they still get distracted and they cannot create that level of momentum that they need. And these are the type of business owners that are grinding. So it's almost, they feel like they're going up an uphill battle. So if these are the ones that we are at the moment, or most business owners are at the moment, where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? We want to be here. What does that mean? It's someone who is able to take on every single task that they need to do and is necessary for them to do, regardless of how they feel, and they are able to do it with minimal distractions without the need of escapism. And this is what we want to call the thriving business owner. That's where we want to be. And finally, The complete opposite of that is someone who feels stuck and they just can't get their day going. And that's someone who's bleeding. Now, the good thing is most business owners aren't in this one. And you're not either. You're currently either surviving or you're grinding. But that doesn't mean that it needs to be there forever. And today we're going to show you how you go from that to a thriving business owner. If you were to rank yourself from 0 to 4 in terms of where you are at the moment, would you say you're a 1 or a 2? Would you say you're a 4 already? Slow yourself down and ask yourself that question. Here's what nobody tells you about procrastination. A lot of people think it's, I need a better morning routine, I need to just focus, I just need to procrastinate less. While these are all nice gimmicks and all nice phrases, these are just symptoms. They don't go down to the crux of what's actually driving that lack of execution or the procrastination. And it's actually a set of beliefs. And my job today, if you don't take anything from today, is getting you from seeing where you are at the moment and where you can be. And it just takes a little reframe. What I mean by that is, first of all, when it comes to actually executing in terms of business tasks or whatever it may be, the current set of beliefs that we see in business owners is that execution is mainly to do when it comes to emotion, how they feel, how you feel. That's what is mainly driving a lot of the execution in the business. If you feel great, then you're going to do more. If you don't feel great, you're going to do less. And depending on how the week goes, it depends on how much execution you do. But what does the thriving business owner do? The thriving business owner executes in one word: standards. Keeping and maintaining the standards of the business is what allowed you to get to 6 figures. What will allow you to get to 7 figures and more is the standards. That's the difference. And that's probably the one thing that making that shift will allow you to get to where you want to be, who you want to be. Now, when it comes to decision making and executing on decisions and not procrastinating, the current way that we see business owners seeing decisions is decisions are made when there is a high level of certainty. Now, certainty is actually one of the human needs, yes, but the moment when that high need of certainty becomes apparent, it actually ends up paralyzing a lot of business owners from growing. So, where growth is also one of the human needs, that is actually being diminished. And that's actually one of the more powerful human needs that most humans, let alone business owners, need in order to make them feel like they're contributing to not just themselves, but to their families and to the wider society. So that's what the current set of beliefs that we see when it comes to decisions. But what does a thriving business owner do? Well, their decisions are based upon values. Asking yourself, what do I value? What are my business values? The moment you're able to change that is the moment the decision itself becomes not just simpler, but clearer. And execution becomes quicker. And when it comes to deep work, this is the one of the biggest things that I see when I coach business owners is that the slots, deep work isn't protected at all, not protected. And because every single time when you're supposed to be focusing, doing the work, another message pops up. Oh, I'll just take this message real quick. But that kills the momentum of what you're trying to do. But what does a thriving business owner do? What is it that you want to change? The one thing that you can change from this and reframe this belief is that deep work is your protected time. Is a time where nothing else gets in the way. No meetings, no random phone calls, none of it. That's the difference. Because that, once executed properly, will allow you to make and create ideas which is not just unfiltered in terms of what you're doing, but will allow you to progress the most. Just ask yourself, slow yourself down again and see, where am I? If I were to rank myself from red, amber, green, If I talk about my execution on a in a business level, is it a green? When I talk about decision making, is it an amber? What is it? Again, slow yourself down. And it's not about attaching to the feelings of, oh, this is where I am, because the power of doing these exercises is that you are then able to create powerful transformation the moment you choose to reframe these beliefs into the beliefs of a thriving business owner. So right now, we are going to slow ourselves down and really allow you to see where your old program is at the moment. It may not be that the previous exercise sort of replicated what you feel, but this exercise will allow you to unlock what is truly stopping you in terms of the story you are telling yourself. So when we look at what we call the belief inventory, this is the first thing that comes to your mind when these words are being spoken to in your head. So what I mean by that is, for example, a lot of business owners I see is work is stress or work is pressure. And not pressure in a good way, pressure in the stressed out, is overwhelming way. Procrastination is escapism. For example, I am escaping from responsibility. These are some of the things that we may hear when it comes to business owners really slowing themselves down and asking themselves what is their view and their understanding of executing like a thriving business owner or where they are at the moment. So, this is a very, very powerful exercise to get you to understand, just to see where you are at the moment. And remember, despite of where you are at the moment, the ability for you to become who you want to become is here and now, literally here and now, because we're going to go through it. And the fact that you're watching this video and you are slowing yourself down to these beliefs shows that you have the power to reframe and become that thriving business owner. So slow yourself down, answer these phrases or answer these questions, and just see what comes up and be playful with it. So let me just take some time to finish the story that I said at the beginning. So my client, he's a six-figure marketing coach, and he was procrastinating on releasing a program. And he's a very, very successful coach. He has lots of clients who's, benefited greatly from his own programs. And I didn't ask him about his landing page. I didn't, because I'm not here to give him business strategy. I'm here to allow him to perform at his best and to get him to perform at his best and to help him. So I asked him, what is underneath all of this procrastination that is stopping you from taking that step forward? And he said it was actually the fear of comparison, the fear that somebody may take from that and use that as their own product. And the moment we were able to unlock that, and the moment I was able to prod a little bit more, asking, reframing actually on about comparison, about the beliefs that he had, the moment he was able to shift that belief from I'm fearful that someone may compare to me to I will give service powerfully regardless of the outcome, that's the moment he was able to execute there and there. He only took a day and then he released his program. It's not the actions which prevent you from doing things. Really and truly, if you were to slow yourself down, it's the belief that is behind the inaction or the action which is preventing you from taking that. Because sometimes it makes sense to do something. And on the outside, logically, it sounds like, yeah, we should do something. But the problem is that most times, logically, where it sounds and it looks good, we don't act logically. And why? The reason why? Our beliefs are the things that are preventing us from thinking clearly and thinking logically. So, now we're going to be talking about the how and the now. What can you do that you, the business owner that's watching this video, instead of just sitting down and just taking notes about what you present with the theory of what you can do, we are going to give you exercises to get you from 0 to 1. And these 3 exercises that we're going to do are the things that I've actually dealt in with the client that I mentioned earlier, and that's what allowed him to make and generate an extra £10,000 a month in revenue. The reason why I actually displayed it as a mountain, well, a triangle, is because I wanted to demonstrate how the foundation of this mountain or triangle is the deepest, most inner part of the work that you need to do. See, a lot of people, they work outside in and not inside out. So what's the first thing that we need to do? We need to talk about the state of being. Who are you being? Who do you want to be? Are you currently working as your current self, like my client did with his fears? Or are you thinking about who can I be for, i.e., my future self? That's the first thing we're going to cover. The second thing is we're going to do something called raising necessity. And what that means is a lot of the time we don't have that sense of urgency to move or to execute. And that's because the thing that we want to have or the thing that we want to do doesn't feel like it's close enough for us to act or move. So what we need to do is raise that level of necessity so that we can execute without bringing in emotion and all of these different fears and beliefs that we have. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to realize and we're going to slow ourselves down to the difference between outcome goals and process goals. So I'm just going to write goals here. These are the three exercises that we are going to cover today. First one, like we said, we're going to cover is being. And there's a coach out there called Steve Hardison. He charges £200,000 or dollars every year for coaching. But he doesn't coach anyone on business strategy as such. He coaches on the person, the state of being, who they want to be, and if they are living up to that level of being. And so that's what we're going to try today. We are going to do something called the future self interrogation. We're going to really become clear about what we want our future to be and how we can bring that future into our current self. And it starts by asking these questions. So, what does your morning look like? That may not seem like, you're probably asking, how does this got to do with anything to do with execution? Well, the more we are able to fit ourselves inside our future self and use that future self in the current and act in that way, that's the moment you show up at a higher level, at a better level, as that thriving business owner that we spoke about before. So, for example, what does their morning look like? What standard are you holding to your current self that you haven't accepted yet? So really just going deep about who you want to be. What does your life look like? What does family look like? What does the business look like? And then ask yourself, how can I bring this to my current self? What would that future self do in this situation? That one question is powerful enough for you to create the ideas and asking yourself the right questions. The moment you ask yourself lousy questions, you will get lousy answers. So ask yourself powerful questions. What if I can bring my future self into my current situation? What would he do? And then allow yourself to flow. Also, slow yourself down. Ask yourself these questions. Who is depending on that version? That's a powerful question. If your future self is saying family, for example, how would that future self show up when it comes to execution on a business idea, on growth? Would it be with a sense of urgency that my family depends on me? I need to work for my family so that my family can survive and that my family can live the life that they want. That's the moment that you are able to step into that future self. So, like I said, slow yourself down and try out this exercise. It's super, super powerful, but give yourself that time and the space to do this exercise. So the next exercise that we're going to cover that goes, that one step higher from it being going inner. Now we're going to work on raising our necessity. So giving ourselves that little bit of urgency, that little kick of urgency, which allows us to work regardless of the emotions that we have. And it starts by understanding that the reason we do things or the reason why we don't do things is either because of pain or pleasure, right? So the reason why you're watching this video, for example, it could be because you are tired of not performing at the level that you want to be. But at the same time, the pleasure of knowing that you have the capability of getting to where you want to be is also another reason why you're watching this video. So Anything that you're doing at this current moment is either because you're trying to avoid pain or you're trying to seek or go towards pleasure. So that's what we're trying to amplify to the max with this exercise. So ask yourself the cost of not changing, the cost of you remaining and surviving and being a surviving business owner or a grinding business owner. What does your life look like? What does the business look like? Is the business growing? Is your team not being as consistent and losing sales because they are following you? They're following your patterns? What's going on? On the other side, what's the reward of you showing up as your future self, for example? What's the reward of you actually taking that step forward and being like, this I am going to execute regardless. I'm going to raise my standard. I'm going to raise my level of effort. What's possible? For example, what's possible in your business when you execute at your ceiling consistently? It could mean increased growth. Again, like the previous exercise and the exercise after this one, slow yourself down and give yourself that space and time, because only then you are then able to really allow yourself to understand, okay, this is what I need to do. And the most important thing, and this is a bonus, by the way. So the bonus is once you've done this exercise, visualize it. This is something that my business coach tells me. This is something that my mentor tells me to do, is just see both sides of these equations. Just visualize yourself and see the cost of it, the cost of inaction, the cost of you staying the way you are. How far does it go? On the other hand, if you stay consistent, execute consistently as a non-negotiable, how far can you take it? What's possible? Just imagine it, visualize it. That's when you can connect to the power, because now you're connected to the emotions of not just executing, but the emotions of wanting to work because it's a necessity and you're raising that necessity. So give this exercise a try, like I mentioned, and again, slow yourself down. The last thing that we're going to do today is, or one of the last things, should I say, is we are going to really delve into what you're focusing on. Now, a lot of the time, and this is the big thing that we see amongst business owners, is the connection, the high level of connection to the outcome. And to some degree, yes, you want to be connected to where you want to go and who you want to be. Yes, of course. But the moment that it becomes an attachment, that's that point where you try to control things which are not in your control. And that's where a lot of the execution begins to diminish, because when you become frustrated that certain things are not going your way, that level of emotionality will then impact your level of execution. And so we want to create a divide between, yes, this is the goal that we want, but what is the goals that we can do that will allow us to control, which is in our control, and something that will get us slowly towards the overall goal. So, like for example, if the outcome goal is, for example, to, I don't know, let's just say we want to make an extra $20,000 in the next quarter. That's the outcome goal. That's something that we want as the end goal. But the thing is that whether or not we achieve that goal is not truly up to us. But what we do have control of is the process goals, the things that we can put into place, which will allow us and put it as a means to get us there. But that's the only thing that we are in control of, that you are in control of, is the ability to do the things that are required in order for you to get there. So, understanding the difference between the outcome goal and the process goal. And for you, all I want you to focus on is the clarity here, but the execution here. That's the difference. Being clear about where you want to go, but executing on the process goals. Then you will take away the frustration. You'll remove the emotion-based work, because just because, for example, you didn't make a certain amount that day, your execution drops because you aren't feeling right. But if you're focusing on the process goals, it's about planting those seeds and watering it every single day. That's the difference. So give this a try. Give yourself, for example, if there is a goal that you're particularly working towards, whether even be it YouTube, you're trying to aim towards getting 5, 10, 20,000 subscribers. What's the process goals that you can do that's in your control, and focus on those. So you've done all of this work, you've done these three exercises, and now you're starting to feel like, yes, maybe I can stay motivated. Maybe I can stay disciplined when it comes to being and executing every single day. But there will be days where you might not feel the same. We are human. We do have ups and downs. That's absolutely normal. So how do we keep ourselves accountable? Well, it's with this, the never miss twice tracker, right? So every single day, you are going to read this. Did I hold to my standard? Yes or no? Let's just say you did here. And what did you choose? What did you choose to do? Did you choose to focus on the process goals or the outcome goals? And if you were setting your standard, how did you do it? Again, ask yourself, allow yourself to reflect that at the end of the day. And every single day, you want to slowly just work it one by one, a point at a time, a day at a time. There's no point trying to look so far forward when your focus can be just by day, because that will allow you again to focus on the process as opposed to attaching so far to the outcome. And once you've done that every single day, ask yourself these questions. Where did I show up as a disciplined sovereign, a thriving business owner? Where did the almost entrepreneur, the person that we said at the start, where you feel like you're grinding and you're surviving, where did you show up there? And the moment you're able to do that long enough, you can see, okay, actually, this is where I am struggling with, or this is at this particular point or at this particular task, this is where I am struggling. And then you ask yourself, okay, where is that coming from? This is the power of reflection. This is the power of accountability. So try this tracker out and give it some time. Give it a week, 2 weeks, and see what shows up. So what we've covered today is where you are at the moment and where you can be, the beliefs that are stopping you from getting there, and the three things that you can do which will actively allow you to take that first step forward, and then continuing from there, following the process. Now, if you're new here, all of this resource, all of the swipe file that I went through today is in the description. Make sure you download it and go through it while you're watching this video. If you've been here for a while, make sure you watch the other videos. They're not just about how to stay disciplined and be executing properly and removing procrastination, but also how do I maintain my energy so that I can execute every day? How can I make decisions based on who I want to be? Those are the sort of videos that you'll find on my channel. And if you feel like I need help with this and you are a business owner who really wants to take it to the next level, who is tired of stolen energy, of being a surviving executioner, being a surviving business owner, a thriving business owner, and wants to become that thriving business owner, and you feel like all of these beliefs and all of these fears are actually preventing you from getting there, then DM me the word execution in my Instagram, which will be in the description below. And yeah, let me know how you guys get on. Let me know in the comments below what came up for you as you did this swipe file. I would love to read them. But in the meantime, hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.